Yeah.
Welcome everybody to our webinar today. I'm really grateful that you joined the webinar and that you prepared a bunch of slides for today. I'm really curious about all of this. Today we will talk about Shopify A/B testing, and especially right now, guys, it's the fourth quarter, and especially here, there is a lot of money to earn, right? And Chris brought a bunch of best practices we will check today. And I'm really curious about that. So, welcome, Chris. And before I pass the ball to you, I just want to introduce myself. So, I'm Steffen, I'm co founder from Verify. Who is not familiar with Verify? Verify is an A B testing platform. And our platform is a little bit different than the others, as we say there only should be one source of truth. And this source of truth means we do not have an own tracking. We rely completely on third-party web analytics tools like Google Analytics and BigQuery, like Shopify, Pivik, Matomo, whatever. We also have integrations for that. And that's so the main difference, but today it's not about Verify, it's more about Shopify. So that's why I pass the ball to you now, Chris.
Thanks so much, Steffen. Thanks for the intro and thanks for having me, first of all. Thanks so much for preparing the webinar and letting me speak about a topic that I think is really interesting, that is really fascinating, about A/B testing in Q4. Q4 is the hot season. We just had it now. It gets more intense. We feel it from our clients that there's a lot going on. One can tell that October, so Q4 just started, and now it's all about testing. It's all about optimizing to get the most out of the most important quarter of the year. Before I dig deeper into Q4 and why Q4, a few words about myself. I don't want to make this too long. I'm Chris, I'm co-founder of Convertlab. We are specialized on A/B testing, not exclusively on Shopify. However, we do a lot on Shopify. So this is where we have conducted many tests. So this is what we focus on today. And I would say you're going to see a lot what we're doing in the webinar anyway. So I don't want to talk too much about us, about me. Let's rather get started with the topic, with the slides, and that was pretty much, I would say, the main intro for the beginning.
Yeah, sounds very good, Chris. So I guess before we start, we could do our first poll for today. And
Good idea.
I think it's very interesting where you guys are from. So what is your specific field? Do you have an e-commerce shop? Or do you work for an agency? So this helps us a little bit in order to structure the webinar. So you should see very soon a poll coming up, and please just click an answer and we will just show you the results in 5 seconds, maybe from now on. So please just make your selection. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thanks for the collaboration already. Let's please keep this. We prepared a few more polls, especially then on the test results. So it's good that already many have taken part into the poll.
Oh, very interesting. So most of you guys are from an agency today, and round about 1/3 that have an e-commerce shop. So thank you for that.
Yes, thanks for taking part. But now let's dig right into the topic. One more comment: if you have any question on anything that we are saying, don't hesitate to just put it into the chat. We see the chat on the side. I have it on my second screen, so I see your questions. And as I said, we want to make it interactive and helpful and useful for you guys. So just please feel free to use the chat function and ask any question if you have any. So to go into the topic, why Q4? I think there are multiple reasons, and I think I'll start with the most obvious one. The most obvious one is money and revenue. So far over 30%, so around 1/3 of the whole e-commerce revenue in the whole year is being generated in Q4. So the first point is simply about the money. It's about user behavior. It's about users spending more money, being more willing to buy. And so, yeah, more money means more revenue and more transactions, which means, yeah, more transactions means we can test more, we have more data, and this is, of course, especially for us as conversion rate optimization agencies, or as an A/B testing tool, yeah, of course, very, very good. Why is that so? Why is more money being spent? There are multiple holiday events. You have the Black Week. You have right, and now you have Singles Day. That is, I think, the closest one. Then, of course, we have the Christmas time, and also what is special about the Christmas time, most people get some extra money that they then, and also they have some time. Most people have some time off around Christmas, so they have some money that they can spend at this time. And yeah, where do they spend it? In parts, of course, also nowadays in the e-commerce. So this is yeah, something that one of the reasons for Q4 being so popular in the e-commerce. And as I just said, also people just have more time, they faster spend more money, simply also because they are used to this already, that in Q4 they get the offers, they get interesting discounts, and so yeah, they're willing to spend, or also interested to spend money and to make purchases of course, good offers and good products. And this is something that we can help them with by simply optimizing online stores, by making the user experience better, by making it simpler, so that also the experience is fun, and yeah, it's clear what is the best solution for a user when buying in an online shop, and yeah, to just have a good shopping experience. And on the other side, for us, of course, having more data, I just mentioned it, is for us very good, because we can test faster, we can learn more, and then in the end scale quicker. I think that's the round up, the summary of why Q4 is so important.
Yeah, I guess this is a very good point. And what I see in the past, very often there are a lot of discounts in online stores, but often you really need to search for those specific discounts on the pages. So it's not very obvious on maybe the homepage or on some landing pages that there are specific discounts. Sometimes discounts are just mentioned maybe on a specific place on the homepage. Sometimes it's only for specific existing clients, which will get targeted by some email marketing campaigns. Very often you learn about those kind of campaigns when you use specific deal platforms. But still there, if you go direct to a shop, very often you do not really feel that there are discounts. Do you associate with that, Chris?
I definitely know what you mean. We also brought some examples that maybe might make your point a bit clearer. Yeah, I think, yeah, that it is super important that I was speaking about user experience, and I think this is just one of the most important parts in shop optimization, to create clarity for users, to make them know, hey, we are offering you this discount right now in this period, and it might not be enough to communicate it once in an ad on Meta or on Google, that you see 10% with the code, I don't know, Black Friday 10, but that you should also have it somewhere positioned, or not only somewhere, but in multiple places in the shop, maybe in an announcement bar above the header, then also on the product pages, maybe even in the cart row, or you make an automatic discount, which is also possible in Shopify. So there are multiple ways. And yeah, the clearer you make it for users, the better it works often. I think this is what you were trying to also say here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Then let me share another slide before I get to the examples. One more thing that is very important now, because I was already talking about shop optimization. I was talking about why Q4 is so important, and yeah, shop optimization is the one thing we can simply optimize things. But there's one thing that should be considered, especially for bigger shops that have the traffic to get statistically significant results, and it's called testing. So A/B testing. And why is the topic testing, or A/B testing in specific, so important and so valuable? Why is it such an important business asset that I think is often not seen as important as it actually is? Therefore, I'm just bringing a numeric example. If we have a shop that makes 1 million in revenue each month, and we have a test variation that brings 10% uplift. So for example, on a product page, we have a motivational element that brings 10% uplift on the average revenue per user. So on the average revenue that each user in average, of course, spends in the store, then this would already bring 100K each month extra. And if we scale it to a year, if it's an element that we can fully implement that works the whole year, then it brings over 1 million in extra revenue each year. And especially right now in an area in 2025, this has already started last year, I would say, where meta ads get more expensive, especially in Q4. And yeah, we can tell that from our clients, the whole game is getting more competitive. The economical situation, especially in Germany, is not the best right now. So we're a bit in a tough situation. And this makes the testing, the effects you have from the testing, so much more powerful, because you just generate more revenue from the same people in your store without spending any more money on Meta, on TikTok, on Google, whatsoever, that you have to buy them in, so to say, into your store. So they're visiting your store, and you just make more revenue, which, if you do it properly, results in more profit for you at the end of the year. And I think this is what everyone in e-commerce is, or should at least be aiming for. So that's what we want to also focus on today. And yeah, Steffen, you have something to add on that?
I think it's really nice. So basically, if you really found a winning variation which makes your revenue just growing, just let's say out of the box, and you just keep this variation running, maybe by implementing this in your shop system, then it's a piece of cake just having all this extra money for free. It's so much easier than just bringing more traffic to your website when it's just working. The only thing what I was wondering about, Chris, is especially in Q4, when we do some advertisement for some specific, let's say, products, maybe they also have some kind of discounts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that those specific campaigns also work during the year, or is it more like just working in Q4?
It depends. That's why I also said we have to, like, if it is a variation that is not specifically for Q4 or for certain events, I would differentiate here between event traffic and non-event traffic. I think this is something that is important to differentiate. If we're speaking about non-event traffic, if it's a change, like for example, super simple example, in like old Shopify stores, many of them still have a cart page instead of a cart drawer. And in most cases, changing from like in the really at most pages of cases, it works better to have a cart drawer instead of a cart page. So this is something that has nothing to do with Q4 in specific. And if we implement the variation that brings an uplift on the average revenue per visit, like you can see here, then it has the effect for the whole year. However, of course, if it's an element that is specifically to Q4, like a Christmas discount, we're going to see some specific Q4 examples. Of course, they probably going to work again next year in Q4, and it's very good to have these findings, to have this knowledge that this element works for you, especially also in which period it might work. However, of course, then it's not the case for the whole year. However, since also we have a lot of traffic and a lot of revenue in Q4, and especially around the time of Christmas, it's still very worth testing here. Yeah, because just a lot of revenue goes around this time. And also, I want to mention that the testing in Q4 should not only focus on like Christmas elements or Black Friday, Cyber Monday discount elements whatsoever. However, we should also focus on conducting, I would say, normal tests that are not specifically on this time of the year, or that are not specific to any certain event, but that are that could be done at any time of the year. But we should also plan in some tests for this time, or many tests, because we have more traffic. More traffic means more results, faster results, and faster significances.
Yeah, that's a good point. And do you say it's always worth testing these changes? Or do you think there are so many cool best practices out there? Yeah, just let's do it, right?
Hmm. That's a very good question. I would say for this, let's have a look at some test results from us as Convertlab that we've conducted in the past during Q4, and let's see how they performed. Because I think many of us know these kind of typical best practices. Often best practices are shared here on LinkedIn, comment so and so, and we will share with you our, I don't know, 500 best practices of Q4 or of summer holidays whatsoever, or of how to communicate discounts. And I think many think, okay, this element, they've tested it. They say this is a proven element. Let's just implement it. And yeah, therefore we've brought some examples. And I think now we're getting to the most interesting part of today that I was really looking forward to. That's exactly what you were asking, Steffen, but isn't testing very time consuming and costly? So this is what we want to look at. Is it really necessary to test these changes, or is it fine to simply implement a bunch of best practices and then the shop will automatically perform well? Let's see. Luckily, as it says here, there are proven best practices you can plug in right away. And therefore, we've brought some of these proven best practices, some of these examples that we've tested in these exact way. These are real test results of us, of Convertlab. So yeah, let's have a look. Give me a second. I'll have a sip from my drink and then let's go into it.
Yeah, so here we already said in the beginning, we want to make this a little bit more interactive. So in this way, we have prepared several polls now. And in these polls, you just can decide what's working better. The version before, so the original on the left-hand side, or the optimization, the variation on the right-hand side.
All right, let me give a bit of more introduction about it. For this client, what's very for them, Q4 is very important. So it's a shop that sells products that most users buy as gifts, and so of course one can think Christmas season is super important for them. And also this product, it says for you, family Christmas socks. So it is a Christmas dedicated product. I think everybody knows these kind of Christmas socks that you could hang on your oven, and yeah, it's personalized with your name on it. And so the hypothesis we made was that if we add a badge that you can see here, if we add a badge, because for these products, of course, they must be produced, and in order to make sure that they will be finalized, like that it's possible to ship them and that they will arrive until Christmas. This can only be guaranteed for a certain amount of these products. And so the hypothesis was here that if we add a badge that showcases users that this product might be sold out for Christmas, so in order to create urgency that they should order it now, because we had this problem with the socks that they were actually sold out before Christmas. And then if they don't arrive before Christmas, of course, it's important. You're visiting on the 25th, you're visiting, I don't know, your auntie, your cousins, whatever. You want to buy these socks for them. Of course, what's most important, you have to have them latest on the 24th, because I think on the 25th, you won't get them shipped. And so adding this badge should bring an uplift, as it creates a lot of urgency. So an uplift on the main KPI here that's important to mention was the average revenue per user. So now have we already started the poll?
So I think now
now it's coming.
Yes.
So we need you to tip. What do you think? Which one won? Did the original one without this beliebtes Geschenk badge win, or did the variation with this badge win? Which one brought the better performance?
So please make your vote, and we will show the results in 3, 2, 1. Let's wait.
All right, we have a yeah, I would say pretty good direction. So we have 69% of people saying that the variation performs better, and 31 thinking the original performed better. Let's have a look. Swap the screen. So the majority was right in this case. It brought an over 5% uplift on the average revenue per visit. So yeah, actually in this case, the variation outperformed the reference. The beliebtes Geschenk badge worked well. However, in order not to go too deep into the detail. However, we noticed that also here the timing is very important. So we closely monitored on which dates it actually performed better, and there were some dates. So there was a time period in which it performed really well. That was the time until it was realistic that this would be shipped. However, after that, and also before that time, when it's not so urgent, when it doesn't feel urgent yet, so I don't have the exact numbers in my head, but let's say before the 5th of December, it doesn't feel super urgent yet for people. So yeah, it at that time, an element like this can bring, or brought in this case, brought a downlift, but overall it brought an uplift, and this is an element that we are of course also going to use again in the future. However, it's important to mention that yeah, it can also have it can also perform better with these kind of elements, better or worse, that it's important to see on which exact dates it performed in what way. Yes.
I think this is a very interesting insight, Chris, because usually you run an A/B test and you expect them to just perform better over all the time. But taking into account that there is the Christmas season and just checking specific date ranges does totally make sense in my point of view, because for me it feels like it's just obvious, right? That especially for this specific action or for this specific time in the year or time of the year, that this is working better. So yeah, it's a really nice insight. And also we got a question from Tobias. I see more and more stores with dozens of batches. Do you have experience with that? Do you only use one batch?
Thanks for the question, Tobias. I think that's not to answer with like a yes or no, I would say, because of course batches are a good element. However, yeah, I mean, doesn't like multiple batches can make sense. It really is case specific, I would say. And this is maybe you also kind of get the intention what we're trying to say here. Also, you will also see it in some of the next test examples, that yeah, you should not simply blindly add batches or elements to already take this conclusion a bit after the first example. You should not simply install batches or implement batches only because you've seen it somewhere. You should always make it based on some kind of hypothesis, and ideally have tested what effect does it actually have. And it is the case often when we start working with clients, they think, okay, big tests will have big impact. So if we make like a landing page redesign, this must have a really big impact because it has so many changes, a fully new redesign. However, in many cases, it's that these kind of small batches, like really small elements, are the changes that make the big differences. And so one should be really careful with these kind of things, and always have hypothesis for it, have some data ideally backing the idea to implement something like this. And then if you have the traffic, you should also test it, in my eyes.
I
Hope
think
that
it's a
answers the question.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair point, and it totally makes sense in my point of view. I also think about this psychological effect, banner blindness. So, do you have any experience with that? So, for example, if you add too many batches, that it really can feel like the page is filled with a lot of banners, and in this way, people do not really consider them, or maybe do not even see them anymore.
I totally agree what you mean. I mean, this is not only with badges or banners, I would say overall like an informational overload. And this is something that I mean, ideally, UI UX design, it should feel lightweight for us, lightweight for our brain. It should be easy for us to process the information. We should get the important information. Of course, we need some information, but it's important to find out for us as a shop optimizationist, which information is the information that is important, and to still make it lightweight, to make it light to proceed the information for our brain. None of us has much time when online shopping, we want a fast result and we want to get the information that we need, and we don't want like 100 pop-ups and batches and whatsoever. That's just confusing, distracting us, and that is giving us a high cognitive load, so to say. Yeah, that's not ideal in terms of user experience, so to
Yeah,
say.
that's a fair point. There's another question from Tom, but I think we should answer them later on, as I guess you have more of these great examples. And this question I see here is more a general question. So,
all right, then let's jump to the second example. One best practice that we see or that many clients also want when we do shop redesigns is that they want this kind of thing here, this element, a so-called shipping progress bar. Shipping progress bar can be set up in different ways. It can be set up, for example, you get a gift at a certain point, or I mean, shipping progress bar, to stick with the real term, it is about when do you get free shipping, basically. And so for this client, what we did here is we set up a shipping progress bar because the client wanted us to do it. And we actually made, okay, before I tell more, let's do it a different way. What do you think? Did it work better with or without the shipping progress bar? Let's make another poll, first of all, before I give more input on that. So variation is, of course, with the shipping progress bar.
it's obvious what's working better, right? Isn't it?
Should be.
Let's see.
Okay, it's moving. The bars are moving. We see more and more results coming in.
Good. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's see the results.
All right, 67% say the variation worked better. Okay, to be honest, I set it up like this per default because what we like on purpose, what we actually did was we did this test in the other way around. We first made a redesign for this client, and then we made A/B testing for them. So then we tested certain elements, and in here we made the hypothesis that it would be working better to make it without this element. So actually we did the test the other way around. So we did it vice versa. We had this as the original one and made the variation without it. However, I swapped the results. And so to surprise you here, this time it's against the majority. Removing it brought a 10% uplift of the average revenue per visit. So with this element, it's actually performing 10% worse than without the element. So I think this is a finding that was also very surprising for the client, because one sees this element in so many big stores. I think from supplements, it's very well known to have this kind of element. And also from other big stores, then why should it not work? I mean, it should boost the average revenue per user because it makes users spend more money, shouldn't it? Well, what we can see here is the second KPI. It's the conversion rate. And the conversion rate was over 11% worse with this element. And why is that so? Of course, when we analyze tests, we can only guess. However, our estimation is this is a shop where especially mothers, so women of young children, are buying in. And what do mothers not really have? They don't have much time, and they are stressed out a lot, I think. And so they don't want to be annoyed by an element like this. This was what we experienced in other tests for this client as well. So an element like this is just a frictional element. It's kind of giving you the feeling, oh, I just want this product for 38 euros. And now I see, if I have to spend 6 more euros, otherwise I have to spend maybe 5 euros for the shipping. And so it's kind of giving you a bad feeling. And apparently it's giving such a bad feeling that it reduces the conversion rate by reduced the conversion rate by over 11%. This was a very interesting finding in my eyes.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought about that. So I also had a feeling it's working better. I really thought it's obvious working better. So in this case, the best practice did not work for you. So your hypothesis is that a specific target group is not, aligning with this element in the way we expected that. There are also more assumption of our participants. Arthur mentioned that maybe people feel discouraged because it shows them that they will have to pay the shipping right away, so right now.
100%.
And another insight here is, did you conduct qualitative research to understand why this didn't work well?
Yes and no. To be honest, it's a bit hard to like what qualitative research do you mean, like a poll or something? Because I think we have many elements that also subconsciously might create friction for us that we don't even realize ourselves. Like on the question on what Arthur said, I definitely agree, because the earlier you show users that there will be something like, in this case, we tell them, hey, you will have to pay a shipping fee. And if they see it at this point already, then it's more likely that they are gonna end their purchase, or that they're gonna end their user journey here. It's similar on the product page. If we already confront them with the fact that they're gonna have to pay a fee for the shipping, it's like in these cases, if we realize that shipping is a problem, then it might be best to really only communicate, in most cases it is best, so to say, to only communicate the shipping rate then in the checkout. As it is in Shopify, I think most of you will know, you first enter your email address, then you enter your name and even your address, and only then it shows the shipping rate. And then you have made so many micro commitments, so many you've gone so far in the process. You only have to add your credit card details after that. You are more likely, since you're already so committed, you kind of already have the product in your home, in your head, that you're much more likely to finish the purchase here and not stop because of the pain you feel for having this shipping rate.
Yeah, we also got more feedback. So when they see that by spending XX more, they can get shipping free, they may decide to browse and continue shopping later. Yeah, I also think this is a valid point, to be honest, especially when you're only looking for a specific product and then you are forced to maybe look for more products. I know this, I very often had the same feeling when I do some, I don't know, grocery shopping online and see stuff like that. So stuff like this, I'm really familiar with that.
Very, very good point. I was
Yeah.
also about to say it, for example, and also, for example, it can happen that, like, then you think, okay, I need here six more euros to get the free shipping. Okay, I'll look for a different product, just as you mentioned, and then maybe a WhatsApp pops up on my phone. I switch to WhatsApp, and maybe somebody tells me, hey, come over now, I have a problem whatsoever, and then I just forget about completing my customer journey, kind of. And yeah, that's then a downer in conversion rate.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and there's even more feedback, Chris. So another one is, I guess it will work in industries with more impulsive buying.
I think rather my experience, to be honest, that's why I mentioned supplements, is that it rather works for products that you would reorder anyways, because in this case, this is a really a problem solution product. So many people that purchase, if they purchase for the first time, they might not be 100% sure about the effect of it. They buy this for their child. They want to test it first of all. They don't want to rebuy it or something. Or they're not sure if they would need to rebuy it. And to give a different case, for example, for protein powder, the ones that do a lot of sport, maybe Freddy from Verify, I think he's doing a lot of weightlifting. So for these people, they drink protein shakes a lot, and they know they need this maybe every month to reorder. And if they tell me then as a user, you have a 70 euro shipping threshold, and you know you're going to reorder this chocolate protein powder anyways, then you'll just say, okay, then let me just take 2 or 3 of them. Like, then I have 3 kilos of it. It will last a bit longer. It won't get sour anyways. So it's fine to purchase more now in order to save this the shipping rate. And then I have more time until I have to reorder the next time. So it really depends on the product and whether it makes sense for users to purchase in a higher volume, I would say.
Cool. So there are even more questions, but I think
Yeah,
we
maybe
have
it would
more
be good
slides
to
prepared. Yeah.
get some more examples. At first, I was a bit shocked. I thought maybe we don't have enough examples, but since we have, which is really nice, I'm very happy that you're interacting so much and asking many questions. But yeah, I think we're good with the examples. So next example is here. In this case, we have the product is a blanket, and this product had the blanket has different variants. One is a standard variant that has a bit of a more light material, a bit of a smaller print on it. It's again a personalized product. And then there's this premium variant of the blanket that costs 10 euro more. So the premium variant costs 59 euros. The standard variant costs 49 euros. And so the hypothesis came up that, first of all, what the client did by himself was pre-selecting the premium variant, because as you can tell by 10 euros more in price, it has a higher ROI for the client, or a higher margin for the client. And so still the pick rate was not so high of the premium variant. And our hypothesis, or our assumption, was from the data and from the behavior, users switching a lot between these variants. And what we saw in screen recordings, for example, this always indicates that it's not quite clear for users what is the difference between the variants if they really switch between these variants multiple times. And so what we did here is we added images of the material for the premium and the standard variant to really showcase the material of it, and to also showcase, hey, and also adding a sentence that was giving information on this. Hey, the premium variant has a bigger print on it. It is premium material, but we did not only go about features, we also went into the benefits, because we know that, like, maybe you know the motive compass of Dirk Eilert, which we use a lot in order to when we really work out our final hypothesis, or the designs for our hypothesis, we found out that it is about the green motive field, which is a lot about warmth, about cuddling, about being, it's hard to explain in English as it is a German model, but yeah, it's about being close together. And so what we did here, we added a text that is about cuddle together. It's a premium blanket. You have it's ideal to cuddle on the sofa, something like this. So it's a really good fit from the communication to the target group, and it already generates this image in your head that you're lying on the sofa with this, that you enjoy the time with this. And this one is, I would say, not so well presented on purpose, to be quite honest here. So let's go into the poll again. What do you think? How did it perform? This time was again the variant better, like the one with these extra elements, with this motivational sentence, with this highlight on the premium variant and the images, or do you think this one here performed better?
Okay, I think everybody saw the poll. So 3, 2, 1. Let's see the results.
Oh, okay. That's a very clear result. 94% on the variant. Maybe I already gave too much insight on it. Actually, this was a very well performing test. Last year we made over 9% exact increase or uplift in average revenue per visit. And yeah, so we had a quite good boost in conversion rate, and also for the product in total, and also for the average revenue per visit. So yeah, that was a pretty successful test.
It's a very cool insight. So in the past, in my earlier career as CRO, when I also run some A/B tests and testing concepts, we did a very similar test for Carglass.de for some
Nice.
upsell products in the funnel. And also here, we just had two choices if you want to have a windshield sealing for the broken glass or not. And just by showing two options, and the one with a very clean windshield and the other one with a lot of raindrops on it, brought very similar results. So also
nice.
we saw very high uplift just by making decisions from your gut and having a little bit more emotional aspects inside there. So a question to our participants: do you have similar experience made with some emotional campaigns or variations? There's already one question, Chris. In this case, how do you know if the picture or the premium description box led to higher conversion? What would happen if you had before variant plus picture only?
To be honest, I don't. In this case, I don't know what. I understand this question, and I know that, like, the conversion, the CRO theory is you only have to test one element at a time, or one hypothesis. However, I mean, it is one hypothesis, but we're testing 3 different elements here. We have the pictures, we have this crown badge here, we have the text about it. The idea is we found a hypothesis, and so also always cost time is money. We could have set up 3 different tests here. which would have taken a long time if we would have only tested the images. We would have tested the crown maybe separately, tested the text separately. So we would have had a lot of time. And yeah, we tried to work out the best or develop the best variant that we thought we could make. So this would be the best variation to also dig into this motivational stuff here, to have the copywriting that fits the target group. And yeah, this ended at the end. It worked well. And what we could do if, for example, it would not have worked, then we would rather have the approach to then retest the single element. So if this one would have not worked so well, or if it would only have brought a slight uplift, what we could have done is we could have made an ABC test in the following, in which we would have had this as the reference, and then as one variation only show it with images, and as another variation maybe only show it with the motivational text. Then we would exactly know which of these elements brought the uplift.
Chris, the webinar is very soon over.
Oh,
so I know at least you brought a few more best practices.
yeah, we got some more.
So I just would say, let's just show further best practices. And for you guys who cannot stay longer, it's totally fine. But I think we need around about 15 minutes more. Is this fine for you, Chris? In order to show all of the best practices?
Maybe we should make them a bit faster than now the next example. So let's start with the poll right away this time, in order to not lose too much time. I mean, I brought some more time, but I understand, of course, your valuable time. You might have your next meetings. And so next one is a live preview of a customizable product. You might already know this product if you're already longer in the webinar. Tested on the same product, and we've added a live preview in this case that allows you can customize your product here down here. You have some options. What do you think? Is it better to have, because we noticed before that many users scroll up and down always when they made some changes here on the customization process, that they scroll up and down. So we thought, hey, we keep them this preview and we make it sticky here at the top of the screen. What do you think? Did it perform better or worse in the end?
Just one question, because I'm not sure if I understood it correctly. So the variation before, could you already customize the product, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So the only thing is that we're now, while scrolling on phone, we're showing users sticky that there is this preview.
This configurator where you can just add your name on the sock.
Yeah, you add your name, you add the color of the sock and so on.
All right. Okay, now I got it. Thank you.
Okay, we have again, well, now it's around 50-50, I would say, even more maybe it's also because I accidentally already pre-flickered the preview.
I think we could show the results now.
So in this case, actually with this setup, it was a quite complicated technical setup. Let's not dive too deep into it, but in this case, it actually brought a downlift. However, I think this is still a great hypothesis. So yeah, we are planning to do some more follow-up tests on this, actually, to be quite honest here, but just to also show you, yeah, only because it's a good hypothesis, it doesn't always bring an uplift. Next one. You might know this stuff here, the AI-generated summaries of reviews. Reviews, I think every one of us knows this, or most of us will know this. Reviews play a very, very important role for online shops, for user behavior. We all like it is different how important it is for different shops, especially, for example, a shop like Hugo Boss that is super well known. I had this in another keynote the other day. For them, reviews might not be so important because nobody doubts that Hugo Boss is a valid brand in Germany, at least where everybody knows the brand, or Apple or whatsoever. However, in a shop that is not Hugo Boss or Apple, users might be unsure: is this a valid shop? Are the products really in good quality? So what do? We have a look at the reviews. We search for what are users saying, and what Amazon introduced, I think since maybe 1 or 2 years, is that they have AI-generated summaries of the review findings, which the idea is it makes it easier for users to understand what users are saying and to understand the benefits of the product, or if the reviews are super bad, to understand what users don't like about the products, or a combination of both. And so the hypothesis was, hey, if we add this to our best-selling products and give users these AI-generated summaries, then of course it will be easier for users as their user experience is simplified. They just have to read the summary instead of scrolling through multiple reviews, which saves them time. So we thought this must bring an uplift. What do you think?
Very interesting.
Okay.
I have asked myself very often if this is something which really works. Maybe for Amazon, yes, as this is review based, but yeah, it's working for every shop. It's
I
it's very
think I guess Amazon would have tested it, because I think nobody does as many A/B tests as Amazon. But do we already show the results?
results now. I think we had a lot of time. Okay.
All right. Let's have a look.
25% original. Ha, I was right. I I did not believe in this.
You were right with your doubt, Steffen. Actually, it brought a downlift of almost 4% on the average revenue per visit, which was very interesting. And we see again, if we would have just said, okay, we saw this on Amazon and let's just implement it, it would have brought a downlift of almost 4%. And this is not a event specific thing, but this is something that would work the whole year. So yeah, I think it shows again why it is so important to test elements. And I think this could go the other way around, maybe for a technical product on where you need more technical information, maybe for a vacuum cleaner whatsoever, it might work better with this. However, for this product, it did not.
Do you know, Chris, if this is a legal requirement to show that this summary is AI generated? At least this was a question from the participant.
Tough question, to be honest. I don't quite know.
Yeah,
I don't really
I
know.
have no idea at all. But yeah, it's a good question. So also when you test best practices, I guess you always need to double check if this is legally fine, and at least or you need at least talk to your client, or you need to talk to your boss or whoever that this is fine or not, or you need to legally check that. I think this is a very important point, to be honest.
Agree. All right, I think we got two more examples. In this case, should be a pretty obvious one. Like we talked about discounts before. So you already had the right intention, Steffen. So in this case, what we did was we communicated at certain discounts in this was during Black Week. Actually, on Black Friday, we communicated the discount, of course, in the ads and also in an announcement. But we additionally communicated with a tap on discount. You just have to click it and it will automatically be activated in your cart drawer. You just have to click on it. And yeah, just have to click on this element. You will get the Black Friday discount. What do you think? Uplift or downlift?
Just one question. Where do we see the price on the left variation? Ah, in the top. I did not see it in the beginning.
Okay.
Ah, it moved from the top to down, and now you have this price box. Okay, understood. All right. Let's see if I'm right again. So, okay, let's show the solution in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Actually,
Ah,
we brought a slight downlift in this case.
oh, really?
Yes, in this case, I have to be fair, I have to say we made this test only during a very limited time period, because we wanted to see how these kind of elements in the Black Week did perform. So it's not backed with as much data as some tests that would have run during a longer time period. However, in this case, it definitely didn't bring a high uplift. And what always can be, in order to give a little interpretation, if you have an extra element, of course, this is something that might distract again, that might that just gives more cognitive load. And yeah, so in this case, no better performance, unfortunately.
Okay, there is a very good question about that.
Okay, let's go ahead.
So what would you say, Chris? What is the minimum number of visits required to consider the results reliable? I think especially um, in this times of the year. So how long would you like to run such an experiment, and what is the minimum of visitors you need for that?
That's a question you always have to ask yourself, and that's it's tough to us. So for normal A/B tests, so it should always be, if somehow possible, for some shops it doesn't work because their product is more expensive or something. So we have to work with less data and try to achieve higher up or down lifts with the test. Of course, the goal should not be to achieve high down lifts, but you get what I mean, what I'm saying, to achieve a higher difference with the variation. But sometimes I mean, what is A/B testing? A/B testing is like a risk management, so to say. And if we test on a day like Black Friday, what we do for some clients, they want to run some maybe crazy elements, some crazy discount. It's more of a risk reduction to say, hey, we are expecting, I don't know, 1,000 purchases today on Black Friday. Please, or even more for some clients. Some have 5,000 purchases on Black Friday alone, or 10,000. And yes, with this data we can test, but what they say, hey, Black Friday, let's please at midnight, let's please start this test to verify if an element like this is working or if it's not working, so that when we get closer to the afternoon, that we have some indicator that everything, that it is not ruining our Black Friday. So even if we don't get a significant uplift for it, even if we don't get a trend in this case in Black Friday, it still shows us that it is a risk management measurement to see, hey, we're not having like a 50% downlift from this variant, just so to say, because also you have a certain, even very slight risk. If you do proper QA, you have a certain risk that you also could have technical difficulties whatsoever with test variations. And so, yeah, risk management, I would say, in this case, is rather the thing or is important to mention on Black Friday.
And I think you made a fair point. I think we should focus more on the amount of purchases we really made in this specific time of the year, and not that much on the visitors. Of course, you need to consider both, and there are a lot of significance calculators where you can see that the conversion rate has a very big influence on the reliability of your experiment. But to be honest, you need a lot of purchases, not a lot of visitors, because in the end, if you just have 30 people buying the product, this will not help.
100,000 users, then
exactly, this will not help to evaluate the A/B test.
True. Yeah. So regarding the time, one, and then another. Like, I think we got two more. So first of all, this one here, good choice. If you order today, your parcel will approximately be delivered until 24th of December. What do you think? This message in the card drawer. Let's make another poll.
Okay, let's show the results in 3, 2, 1.
First of all, we have most going for the variation. Okay, 86%. So yeah, in this case, you are actually right. In this case, it brought a high uplift on the average revenue per visit, because in this case, we really showed this element only at a certain time of the year. We showed it in, like, we knew at which time it would be good to show this element, because as I mentioned, what is important for users, it is important that in around Christmas that they get their gift for Christmas, and in this case, it made sense to show this variant then. Yeah, it helped a lot.
Cool.
All right. And then let's skip this one actually regarding the time. I have one more, which is a bit of a different example. I know checkout testing in Shopify, we could make another webinar on this. Maybe we should, Steffen. This would be an interesting topic. However, I brought an example on checkout testing as well. In this case, we tested what happens if we increase the shipping cost from $2.95 to $4.95. I think it was only for German users. But what happens if we do this increase for the shipping cost? And actually, what we were experiencing was a downlift on the average revenue per visit by 2.2%. And it was significant as well. So first of all, you would think, hey, okay, this is a significant downlift. Let's not implement this variant. However, if we look at a test like a shipping test, what we have to consider is it also has, like, the shipping cost. You as a shop owner have shipping costs that you cannot do anything about. They are fixed for your product. I mean, if you change the way you send, of course you can do something about it, but we assume that they are the same in the reference and the variant. And what we have to do here is also to make an analysis on profit. This makes it a bit more complicated. We have to consider the profit margin of the products. We have to consider the shipping costs that you have as a shop. And so even though it brought a downlift for the average revenue per visit, this test actually brought up an uplift in the profit per visit of over 3%. And so we implemented the higher shipping cost. Just this as
I think this is a very important point, that you really need to know and to understand your KPIs. It's not always just the conversion rate, because you also need to have a look on the profit as you showed here. But I think you also need to double check the retention, of course, because if you somehow advertise that you get free returns, and on the other hand, you have a lot of returns more in the end by maybe raising the conversions, you just will lose. So I think this is very, very important for any A/B test you run, that you need to have clarity about the metrics you want to optimize.
Exactly. I can also give you an example that was very interesting from a shop that we work with, who's selling leggings, so yoga pants for women. And in their case, it's often the case that many of the users that they purchase a product in size XS, size S, and size M maybe in order. Then they try it on, and then they send the two ones that didn't fit them. They send them back, which costs, of course, a lot for this brand. And so what we tested was to give them a size guide. So in the variation, we implemented a size guide. And actually, the size guide brought an uplift in conversion rate, but a downlift on the average revenue per user. Why? Yeah. Because it reduced the average order value as users had more clarity, and so they had to order less variants. So they only ordered maybe the size so they knew which size would be ideal for them. So they only ordered one instead of three, reduced the average order value, and so also reduced the average revenue per visit. However, it also reduced the returns that users were sending, and so in the end brought a lot more profit for the shop. And that's why just 100% agree to your point, Steffen. That's why we have to consider these kind of things as well.
Yeah, very important. Absolutely.
All right, I think we made a lot of clear why we are fans of A/B testing, why we're fans of testing things, and why it's not why you should not simply implement elements because you've seen them somewhere, because they sound good, because every online shop, every user group, every target group is different, and so yeah, you should test. And even if test results are negative, so to say, even if they fail, we've had that so many times that for example, a cart drawer cart drawer test brought a downlift in the first approach. Then we went into the analysis, made some changes about it, tried to understand why did it bring a downlift, then made a reiteration, and then got the uplift in the second iteration. So that's why testing always pays off if you do your research in the first place, if you do your homework in the first place, and also after the test, if you conduct a proper research, proper analysis to understand your user behavior better and better, and then to finally get the uplift results. And of course, to also prevent downlifts.
Yeah, very good point.
All right, then. One more thing, just to showcase that if you don't test at all, you have like it will go around like this. So you won't have you don't really have improvement. Actually, it's even worse, because shops get better by time. If we think back to 2015, 2016, back then shops looked way worse, I would say, or they would look ancient by now if we look at them today in 2025, because shops just develop by time, so it gets better. At least the good shops, they develop by time, and so with no testing at all, the best thing you get is that you stay the same, but you'd rather even lose in performance. Then there's traditional shop optimization. I find this graph interesting. I saw it in a slide somewhere, so in a slide deck, so I found it interesting and also took it for today. The way of traditional shop optimization would be to make a redesign every once in a while, maybe every year or every fifth year. And what happens there is, first of all, you have a lot of cost of opportunity, because you have this gap here, this triangle gap. in which you are not benefiting from the better performance that you could have had. So we have old shop, we perform like this, and then new shop, okay, we perform like this. And this even is only the ideal case that we achieve an improvement with our shop redesign. And this is not always guaranteed, to be honest. For if the research was not done properly, or if just the users were not being understood by 100%, then it might not even be the case that you achieve the uplift like this. That it might even be that you stay the same, or that you even get a worse performance. And then, so yeah, is traditional shop optimization the ideal thing? Not for everyone, at least. I mean, for smaller shops, it can make a lot of sense to make a redesign, because in most cases, the smaller the shop, the more room of improvement there is. So it can make sense to make a big redesign and to change a lot. And also, if the store changed, maybe the corporate interface was changed of the company, can also make sense for bigger stores. I don't want to say that it never makes sense. However, if you're a bigger store, let's say 2 million in revenue plus, we speak about 5, 6, 10, 20 million in revenue per year, then you should definitely have A/B testing and experimentation in your company as a solid as a solid optimization process, for multiple reasons. First reason, as I mentioned before, it is risk management. You can avoid changes that bring a strong downlift. And even if you would expect, hey, this must bring an uplift, it is not guaranteed, as we just saw in the examples, that like half the examples, I think all these hypotheses that I showed were kind of you were kind of thinking, hey, this must bring an uplift, but half of them did not bring an uplift. So it is risk management, it's avoiding of downlift. And on the other side, it is also, of course, improving, learning what works for you, getting to know your target group better, getting to know what do your users actually want, what is resonating with them, what are they really looking for. And this does not only help for the improvements inside the shop, but it also helps in improving the whole customer journey. It helps improving the ads. It helps it helps even improving the products by using the customer feedbacks and understanding it. So yeah, that's why I would say A/B testing is very important if it's done in the correct way, or it's very powerful if done in the correct way. So yeah, testing is essential because every store and audience is unique. That was I think our main message that we wanted to show. And yeah, what we now have is, do we have time for the example, or should we skip it, Steffen?
It's just a little video. We just
Okay.
could. So just for you guys who are still interested in how you can set up a very easy A/B test, for example, in Verify in less than 5 minutes, feel free to start a video. But for all others, it was a pleasure meeting you today. And if you have further questions, just ask them right away. We are happy to answer. So what you can see here is Verify, and we use a campaign booster in order to create a specific best practice, a similar one which was shown by Chris before. Here you can define headline, text, whatever. You have possibilities to add specific colors. You can add icons when you like. So even if you do not have developer skills or resources, you still can use some basic features which can help you, especially in the fourth quarter, to sell your products better. And as you can see here, this is really straightforward to set it up. And this did not even take 5 minutes. This took, I don't know, 30 seconds to 1 minute. So if you're familiar with the tool, then you just can set this up. What you can see here, the targeting. So in this case, it should just be shown to everybody who is on a product page. Here you can see the specific options, how you can target an experiment like that. You can define a specific audience, for example, specific traffic type, a specific source, referrers, where they come from, or you just say, I want to target only people on desktop, mobile, whatever. And afterwards, when you have set this up, you can start the experiment. So basically, that's it. And there is another question, Chris, from Tobias. Like I find it hard, users will most likely interact differently than normally. Do you test prior already or in the season itself?
Let me reread it so I understand the question correctly.
It's about, do you do your A/B tests only in the season itself,
No.
or do you also check it before and afterwards in
No,
order to do a
I
comparison?
agree 100%. Very good question. So the user behavior actually is different during Q4, or especially we often see, especially for cases that I showed that are event specific. I took some event specific clients here because there we test, of course, a lot around the events like Christmas, like Black Friday, or also Mother's Day, I don't know, Valentine's Day. And there is actually different behavior that we see. Some variations might work during a different season, even if they're not like a discount batch or whatsoever. Some also other changes might work during an event. It might not work without an event. And so to answer the question, yes, we definitely also test around Q4. We ideally, you should, if you have the traffic, you should test all the time and as much as you can.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you guys for joining the webinar. We already got a little bit of feedback from you. Thank you so much. And here you see a last slide, do's and don'ts for valid A/B tests, or you saw
I
them
will.
at
I
least.
think you will be able to rewatch them. Let's like we have one final slide. Let's use the last minutes that we have for this. Um, so when you follow, just as a conclusion, when you follow these principles, results like this will become possible. I showed a few examples from our client Löwenkind, for example. We've achieved with 23 tests in 40 months, we've achieved a 92% uplift in average revenue per visit. We also have a case study about this on our YouTube channel. Feel free to have a look at that. I think this is very interesting. So and don't just install the variations that we made, but try to test them yourself,
Yeah.
if possible. So this is something that is possible if you really do proper research and yeah, find the right hypothesis and find ways to really get these hypotheses implemented and tested in a good way. Then a result like this would be possible, or also in a result like this from our client Pet Printed, where we test a lot. The question was the last question was whether we only test in Q4. No, we really test a lot around the whole year, and then results like this are definitely possible. So to sum this up, I would say, Steffen, anything you want to say before I get to the end?
No, it was a pleasure having you here, and feel free to show your last slide. And
Yes,
yeah, it was really great. So let's do this again for sure.
definitely. I really like the time with you, Steffen, and talking about this topic, I think, is always a lot of fun. So at this point, we've got you two choices. I think we've seen now how good Verify as a tool is. Steffen is co-founder of Verify, as he already mentioned. So he knows what he's talking about. We showed how easily you can set up a test in Verify. And since we are working with Verify as an agency, I can only assure you it's really very easy, and it's a solid and reliable tool. And so your first choice, what you could do if you really say hey, I want to try A/B testing myself, we want to try it in our online store ourselves, you have the option, just feel free to scan the QR code and yeah, get a demo of Verify and test the tool, work with it, and yeah, make your first tests yourself in or maybe not even the first, make tests with Verify yourself and learn to use it. And of course, the other option would be let's talk to me. Let's have a chat on how you could have it done by a professional expert. In that case would be me. Let's have a chat on how we can support you, how a testing roadmap would look like. Of course, in this case, it would be done for you. I know every online shop owner has a lot to do, has a lot of work. So in this case, it would be done for you. You have yeah, you have not much work with it, but you have somebody doing it for you. Scan that QR code. Let's have a chat on it. Let's have a chat on how we can support you. And yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to see some of you in the call. And yeah, thanks for joining the webinar. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, thank you again. And Navin, also greetings to India. Have a great day, guys. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.
See you. Bye bye.